Okay, my beautiful friends, sit back and relax because we have a lot to talk about. What a day. It's a freaking freak show. And you know it. I know it. Let's do this. Okay, so Monday, November 14, 2022, post-market wrap-up. I want to start off with this. So we all know, and we're seeing this, it's right in our freaking face, the narrative change. We knew it was coming, and it's right here, right now. So right out of the mouth of the Federal Reserve Vice Chair, Lael Brainerd. I have to come up with a name for her. I don't know. Give me some suggestions. Lael Brainerd. We need a nickname. Anyway, this is what she said. With inflation moderating. It's moderating now. So let's see. We were peaking, but then we're not peaking. We were peaking again, but no. And then for some miracle, we were peaking yet again, but now we're kind of moderating. How about no? We're not moderating in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, inflation has nowhere to go but higher. And I want to read something to you in just a little bit I think is important here. So let's go back to Lael Brainerd, please. What does that sound like to you? We need a good nickname. Okay. So with inflation moderating, and it's not, soon it will be appropriate for the Federal Reserve to slow its pace of rate hikes. People, look, they've been setting the groundwork here. You and I knew it. We foretold this. We discussed it right freaking here. Narrative change. Then they're going to start easing back. December, look. Here's the situation. December, we're getting a 50 basis point hike. I would be stunned, shocked, and will roll myself all over the floor, and I'll get it on video so you can see me do this if we don't get a 50 basis point hike. ECB is going to do the same thing. Then we're going to get a pause. I want to, like I said, talk about a few things we see that are going to happen. So, narrative change right out of the mouth of the Fed Vice Chair. Inflation's moderating. It's moderating. Do you know how you can be sure that it's moderating? Whatever that even means, define moderating, okay? We know it's happening because she's told you. And whatever they say is always right. Am I wrong on that? Anyway, so that's one piece of information here. Here's another piece of information we got from the World Bank. We already know what the IMF said this morning. IMF, world economy is in deep trouble. Okay, and this deep trouble is going to get much, much worse because central banks are going to continue to fulfill their end game, and they're going to continue to inflate regardless of what they tell you. You know that's true. We'll cover more of that in a minute. So here, from the World Bank, and I want to hear from you on this. Are you ready? Get ready to comment. So, this is the World Bank. Global debt levels rise substantially in 21, and they continue to rise even faster in 22. So let's see. How many of you are surprised? Can I see your shocked face? Really? Oh no! You mean global debt surging out of control? And there's no end in sight? Oh no! It's an incredible thing here. Now, here's another headline I want you to pay attention to. The global housing market is set for a brutal downturn. Look, everything is in free fall around us. But if you were to pay attention to the mainstream propaganda of pick a politician, pick a freaking Federal Reserve president or the freaking vice chair or the chairperson himself, they're going to tell you how great everything is because we're doing fantastic. Our economy is doing strong. It's very strong. You know that because mummified Frankenstein presidents tell you that, and it must be true because the president of the United States, none of them would never lie to you, right? You understand what's going on, people? Do you really understand what's going on? So, before I read something to you, let's just look over here at the market. 10-year yield, slightly higher. Dollar, relative strength, I wouldn't say substantially, but moderately higher. We like that word now, right, Lael Brainerd. I can't think of a name for this thing. I need some help with this. Okay. What did that do? Stock market got hit. Nothing major, hit nonetheless. Crude oil got hit pretty good today, down like 4%. Cryptocurrencies moderating under some pressure here. Very volatile. Gold and silver putting on some nice gains. That's where we stand, people. Anyway, with that said, I write these things up once in a while, and I want you to have these, okay? If you are a subscriber to my 100% free newsletter, this is already in your inbox, okay? If you have not yet subscribed to my free newsletter, what are you waiting for? Subscribe. There is a link in the description of this video. It's really free. I don't share your email addresses with anybody. I promise you. So get your copy of this. And I want to read this to you. And some of this is going to be familiar to you, but the climax of this is right here. What is about to happen. So I want to go through this and add a little bit here and there. So here's the title. Make no mistake, central banks will continue to inflate faster. By me. All right. Here we go. To date, are you ready for this? Every manner of distraction and deception mechanism is being used against an unsuspecting public which is being crushed under the weight of surging inflation. And the worst is yet to come. Collectively, people, because you remember Yellowstein? He said, went out of his way, central banks don't coordinate, but they coordinate. Okay. Central banks, which are working together, have been using the mainstream propaganda ministries to sell an epic lie to the people of the world. You know what this lie is, but bear with me. That lie is this. By raising rates, central banks will control or slow the pace of inflation. All right. Let me be clear on this if you haven't heard this before. I think you have. Okay. In no way is central banks raising a rate even meant to slow or control inflation? Raising rates is meant to slow demand, period. Okay, but that's what's being pushed down your throat. Lovely. If in fact the central bank was serious about wanting to control inflation, all it would have to do, you know what I'm going to tell you here, is contract the money supply by raising the capital reserve requirements of financial institutions. Okay. Now, doing this alone, let me outline this for you real quick. This one thing, if, for example, the Federal Reserve were to right now tell the big institutions, hey, you guys got to hold capital reserves above zero, because right now it's zero, this would contract the money supply. We would get an immediate effect on inflation. But no, this will never happen. This is not in this. I'm just kind of ad-libbing here. It will never happen because central banks are determined to continue to inflate. Just keep that in mind here as I move forward. Okay. So anyway, by doing this alone would have an immediate effect on rapidly rising inflation. The fact of the matter is this. Central banks never had any intention to slow the pace of rising inflation. Instead, they will continue to inflate. Collectively today, central banks are hyperinflating the global money supply. And this mechanism has been going on unabated for years. Okay, we're seeing the side effect of it now. What people are not being told is the issue of surging inflation is a direct result of central banks inflating the global money supply, effectively diluting the purchasing power of their respective currencies. What have I told you since time immemorial? Since time immemorial, I have outlined for you how central banks are in a race to the bottom. They're deliberately killing their currencies. They're sucking the purchasing power out of it, and with that, destroying the global economy, destroying the global financial system, and taking the global population with them. People, this is worse than a science fiction movie. I'm serious, but this is real. This is what's really going on here. Anyway, not a single, listen to this, and I brought this up before, not a single mainstream media outlet has outlined what I just told you to date, and that alone should tell you something. Just to push this point home, let's talk about this. Okay, the Federal Reserve, along with other world central banks, has been raising rates for many months. Yet inflation continues to rise. But no, it's moderating. Now, I don't know what that means. Define moderating. Does that mean it's leveling off? You see what they do, these freaks over here at the Federal Reserve? They use these fancy terms like appropriate. It's appropriate. It's moderating. It's whatever it is. They float these words out. They really have no meaning, okay? They leave you and me to sit here to decide what it means because all they're doing is screwing us over to the highest possible order. That's not in here. This is what I want you to pay attention to. This is what is about to happen. 3 things. First, Central banks will continue to balloon the money supply, but faster. This will dilute the purchasing power of their relative currencies and inflation will continue to rise. This is a no-brainer. This is happening now. It's going to continue to happen. I've told you since I don't know how long. Central banks need to stabilize their currencies. They're not going to do that because they need to inflate the money supply to fulfill their end game, to be the lenders and buyers of last resort, to eliminate an entire class of people by bringing the world economy and financial system to its knees. You understand? I think you do. Secondly, central banks will continue to raise rates, although at a slower pace, and sometime early next year, they will pause. Well, we heard this today, and I wrote this before Brainerd came out, Lale, whatever that freaking thing is over there, saying that, okay, soon it's going to be time for the Fed to slow their pace of rate hikes. Thirdly, central banks working together will vastly, mark my words on this, increase their repo programs. This means that financial institutions will pass vast amounts of cash between each other overnight in an effort to trick the system into thinking it's more liquid than it actually is. And this will be vastly increased because they have to do that. Now, collectively, these three mechanisms that I just covered for you, as outlined above, okay, if successful, will allow central banks to, here's the word again, vastly increase global debt and as a side effect, push global stock markets higher. As a further effect, this mechanism will continue to crush the global economy and create more people who are dependent on the system. In case you don't know, that's the goal here, to get more people dependent on the system. More and more people are falling into that lower rung of society, something you and I have outlined since forever now, how this would play out. People, everything we've talked about for years, literally, is happening. You don't need to be a psychic, a rocket scientist, or anything like that to just read the tea leaves a little bit. Yes, this is a game of incomplete information, but some of this stuff is in our freaking face. It's going on right in our face. You and I seem to be the only ones that care about it. It's the truth. Most people, like I say all the time, they can't walk and chew gum at the same time. They have no clue what's going on. They walk around in some zombified, induced state of, I have no idea. They don't know what they're doing, who they are, why they're doing what they're doing, where they're going. They have no goals at all in life anymore. They just fly by the seat of their pants. They allow things to happen to them, the boiled frog syndrome. And some people are induced into a sense of learned helplessness. You all know that. It's so, you think that I made that up? No, it's not. Look it up. Learned helplessness. It's a real thing. But you and I know. You see, we're standing up against them, the powers that be. And it's the central banks. I don't give a damn how fixated you are against this party, against that party. It don't matter. It's a distraction. It's the central banks who run it all. And look, all this, do you realize, you see, central banks, okay, they have think tanks, just like every other government in the world does, and they're way ahead of the people. They manipulate the minds of people in a very gradual way, and they shape the future from the now, pushing people in that direction. You understand? Pushing the global population in that direction. And that direction is pushing it all off of a cliff. And it's going to end with the biggest bang that has ever been heard in the history of the world. And it's something they're going to talk about for thousands and thousands of years. How were those people back then so stupid? How did they not see this happening? Why wasn't there a revolt? Why wasn't there any uprising? Because the central banks are squeaky clean. It's these people's fault. It's those people's fault. Central banks have to remain untouchable because, look, there's power in numbers, okay? They raided the Capitol. Okay, what a big mistake that was. They should have been raiding the freaking central banks. Let me tell you what was going on that day. The central bankers were laughing their asses off in the back room. That's what they were doing. And I hope those of you that got caught up in that are kind of wise to the situation here. They chose the wrong building to storm, unfortunately. But that's the way it goes in the society of people who have no clue. Look here. Don't look over there. You think that's done? No way. All right, look, I'm out of here. I think this has been an important video. Get your copy of this. It's in your inbox, okay? Certain things I put out are kind of important, and I read them to you because I want to cover this stuff with you, and I want you to have it. All right, so just go make a copy of that for yourself. Share it. You know, look, you have my permission. You have my permission to share this stuff with anybody you want to, who maybe you want to wake up just a little bit. You know, people know the truth when they hear it. I can't imagine someone reading through this and saying, you know what, this makes a lot of freaking sense. Raise your own awareness, absolutely. At the same time, try to raise other people's awareness. Together we can make a difference, but we need much larger numbers, okay? Much larger numbers. Love you a lot. See you in the morning.